Welcome back to Real America's Voice and welcome to the National Pulse. I hope you don't mind. I'm sure you don't mind. We wanted to make sure that we covered every last second of that press conference from the Thomas More Society and their litigators. Phil Klein, a friend of this show, somebody who came on here, loyal viewers will know from the very outset of this show when we launched back at the end of summer. Phil Klein will be joining us later on in this hour, we hope. As you know, the press conference ran a tiny bit long there, about an hour longer than I was told this morning by the organizers, but I hope you see why. I hope it's very clear to you why they wanted to take the time up there, walk everybody through, especially the more skeptical media in the room, walk them through not just the credentials of the claims that were being made, but actually the character credentials of the people who were making them. I understand that there was a lot of information then, there was a lot of information for us to pass. We're going to be joined by our very own Carrie Sheffield, who has her own show on this network at 9 a.m. in the very early morning, as far as I'm concerned, in just a moment, who's live at the scene of that press conference. I want to bring you some other breaking news in this hour. You heard one of the people in the audience there a moment ago mention that Attorney General Bill Barr has said that he doesn't believe that there has yet been enough evidence to overturn the election in terms of voter fraud. Now, the media is obviously reporting that, the establishment media reporting that as Bill Barr saying there was no fraud. That's not what Bill Barr said. And as disappointed as a lot of us are in Bill Barr, we have to read Bill Barr's words correctly. Bill Barr said that per the investigations that have gone on so far, which is to say very little from the FBI and the DOJ, they haven't found anything to overturn the election. The scale. What he's implying there is that there is voter fraud, but they haven't found yet enough to overturn the election. That's okay. Phil Klein's doing your job for you, Attorney General Barr. I want to read you this statement that came from the Trump campaign, specifically Jenna Ellis and Rudy Giuliani. It says, quote, "With all due respect to the Attorney General, there hasn't been any semblance of a Department of Justice investigation. We have gathered ample evidence of illegal voting in at least 6 states, which they have not examined. We have many witnesses swearing under oath that they saw crimes being committed in connection with voter fraud. As far as we know, not a single one has been interviewed by the DOJ. The Justice Department also hasn't audited any voting machines, nor used their subpoena powers to determine the truth." The quote goes on. "Nonetheless, we will continue our pursuit of the truth through the judicial system and state legislatures, and continue forward the Constitution's mandate and ensuring the Constitution's mandate and ensuring that every legal vote is counted and every illegal vote is not." Again, with the greatest respect to the Attorney General, his opinion appears to be without knowledge or investigation of the substantial irregularities and evidence of systemic fraud. End quote. Signed, Rudy Giuliani, attorney for President Trump, and Jenna Ellis, Trump campaign senior legal advisor and attorney for President Trump. Now, think about what Bill Barr actually said, and Rudy and Jenna are correct. They have not done the due diligence enough to make a statement yet. And actually, I think Bill Barr was kind of saying that, or at least alluding to that. The media won't understand or nor read between the lines. The Attorney General is currently at the White House, I'm told. And we'll see what comes out of that meeting with the president momentarily. Right now, I want to take you back to Virginia, back to the room where you just heard that very long, very detailed press conference. Our very own Carrie Sheffield, Just the News, Real America's Voice, joins us from Virginia. Carrie, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for being there. I see you have a guest for us, so let me hand it over to you.
Of course, Raheem, it's a bit hard to hear you, but I can tell you, yes, this conference went on extensively. I have a speaker here. He was on the podium and he spoke about his testimony. We're going to talk a bit with him here. His name is Gregory Sternsom. And he said So I immediately, when they went to the Q&A, I asked this question about A.G. Barr, who said during this conference, the news alert with the Associated Press, saying that there is no evidence to his knowledge that would sway the election. And Gregory here, who was a witness here on the stand, he has a response to that and would like to share his thoughts. What's your response to A.G. Barr based on your experience? First, let the viewers know a bit about what you saw in Pennsylvania, and then your response to A.G. Barr.
Thank you very much. The response that Attorney General Klein gave you was you have to have an investigation to have a result or a response. You have to collect evidence to have a response. I was there on Saturday following the election. I was on the phone all day trying to get law enforcement to go down and secure the forensic evidence. There were 5 computers that aggregated the votes that also could tell when USB sticks were plugged into them. There was video recordings that we needed to secure, and I pleaded with the U.S. Attorney General's office in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, Attorney General McSwain. He was well aware of the situation, personally informed of the situation by me.
And you're saying that the USB sticks were taken illegally, in some cases taken home, or they were altered in some way?
I didn't say that. The point of the matter is we don't know. And the only way, there's a thing called the doctrine of spoliation of evidence. And electronic evidence is so durable that if you get rid of it, that's proof unto itself. So the bottom line is if you intentionally obfuscate and you destroy forensic evidence, that usually delivers a directed verdict by a court or a judge. So by not collecting the forensic evidence or destroying the forensic evidence, that's actually admissible to court. So what I said to Billy, and I also said to Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro, personally sent 2 agents to my home, Agents Mariel and Agents Ben Walton, came to my house. And I said, if you really want to investigate this, and you really want proof, you want to see and you want to refute what I say, then you have to go get that forensic evidence. You have to go to the computers, image the hard drives, you have to go get the video evidence, and then you can refute what we have to say. They were aware. There's only one person who can order Attorney General McSwain not to go get evidence, and that's Attorney General Barr. There's only one person who can order Special Agents Walton and Marcial in Pennsylvania not to get evidence, and that's Attorney General Josh Shapiro.
So why do you think A.G. Barr has chosen to not send the attorneys to go and collect this forensic evidence?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But what I've heard from the press, and the reason I wanted to respond to you was I hear a lot of my friends, social media, and it's bipartisan. It's Democrat and Republican, whether you voted or didn't vote. People want to know the truth. And they say, where's the evidence? Well, if you don't go look for the evidence, you know, we have witnesses here. We have evidence. It's easy to get. It's there. It's available. So, you've got to go get it and refute what we say. Or you can't say there's no evidence when there's people speaking out saying we saw 100,000 ballots here, 400,000 ballots there. This guy saw 100,000 ballots. You've got 600,000 ballots sitting, on that stage with 3 people who are willing to come forward and testify. And law enforcement, even though we begged and pleaded them, sitting on their hands. That's unacceptable.
Well,
Is that okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
And there you heard it. So just to summarize the other witnesses who were on the stand here, we had a truck driver from Pennsylvania who testified that there were up to 288,000 ballots that had been filled out in the state of New York, and that he was ordered to carry them across state lines illegally to Pennsylvania, where they were then taken and disappeared. So the investigation that the Amistad Project is asking for is to say, where did these ballots originate? Who filled them out? They were completely filled out, and then they were presumably counted in the state of Pennsylvania, even though they originated from across state lines in Pennsylvania. Another witness who was on stage also talked about he's a subcontractor in Wisconsin, and he said he testified in his sworn statement, which has been provided to law enforcement, saying that up to 100,000 ballots in the state of Wisconsin were backdated, ordered to be be backdated to be, they were filled out apparently with the Postal Service on November 4th when they were received, and they were ordered to be backdated to November 3rd, which would have then fulfilled the election day requirement. So hundreds of thousands of ballots here in question. Raheem, what are you guys hearing there?
Yeah, no, we were watching from here, and I've obviously spoken to Phil and the team in advance of this, Carrie. There's a lot of information that's come across in the last hour, and I just want to get, for our viewers, a bit of a sense of what's going on the ground there. Was this well attended in terms of press? Would you expect there to be a decent amount of press coverage off the back of this? And I noticed that one of the witnesses, specifically the truck driver, was volunteering information about himself where you know, he said, I've been to prison, I've served time, I broke my parole. If you're going to run with that, then, you know, that's on you. But they were very forthcoming. They were very honest about who they were, what their backgrounds were. Was there any sense in the room that the media was going to treat these people unfairly? Is that what they were trying to preempt?
Sure. Yes, there was a question on this question of witnesses and whether people might be bullied or doxxed or harassed in some way, any whistleblowers. And so they tried to preempt that to say, let's get ahead of the story. The truck driver, he said, and Phil Klein himself also preemptively told some about Jesse, the truck driver's background and his background. He'd spent time in jail to preemptively, avoid from their perspective any sort of character assassination. In terms of the room itself, the chairs were socially distanced. There were probably about maybe 20 to 30 people in attendance. I did see Fox News was here. We saw online that One American News was live streaming this, NTD, the Epoch Times. So,
any
not
CNNs,
hugely crowded.
any New York Times?
And I was at the Rudy Giuliani press conference that was at their RNC headquarters, and that was, I would say, more well attended from some quote-unquote mainstream media outlets. But there was a healthy attendance here, I would say, and of course we're here with Just the News and Real America's Voice. And I guess the next step here, the big question that I asked Phil Klein, I said, in light of what we know from AG Barr making this statement, and he's at the White House right now saying that he found no evidence that would change the election, Phil Klein's response to that was, well, this isn't about changing the outcome per se. It should be, if there's fraud, you should investigate fraud. You shouldn't determine or care about investigating fraud. Should not
Carrie,
be
we're at the end of the hour here. Carrie, we have to leave it there. But Carrie Sheffield, thank you. She's a few problems hearing us there, but it's a busy room. You can see more people down there doing broadcasts as well. We're very glad to have been able to bring you this in this hour as well. We wanted to bring you immediate reaction from Phil Klein after the event as well, but we've run up against the hour since they ran late with the conference. But again, we're very grateful for the fact that the Amistad Project, Phil Klein, the whistleblowers, brave people, were up there making the cases, as the cases will continue to be made. We were supposed to have the Democracy Institute director, Patrick Basham, on the show today, as well as Natalie Winters, who is going to be joining us remote from California. We've run out of time. Stick around. David Brody's water cooler is up here next on Real America's Voice. I'm Raheem Kassam. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m.